I was gonna slit my wrists, and Utahna walked in on me, attempted to stop me. We kind of struggled over it. She tried to take the knife from me, and unfortunately she got the worst of it.
The man describing the accidental killing of his wife as if it were any other Wednesday is John Weston Erickson. This heinous act unfolded right in front of their children. 7-year-old Presley Erickson even tried to save her mother in a desperate attempt, but this emotionless father ended up hurting his own daughter.
I'm just yelling, "Why are you hurting Mommy?"
Did she try to stop you?
Other than yelling, no.
Okay.
John was full of rage when he committed this crime. Detectives want to understand where that rage is coming from, so now begin their tactics to break this remorseless husband. Little do they know, John is, in reality, a ruthless monster underneath it all.
Just snapped.
Where is that rage coming from? What happened? I don't understand why this is all directed towards her.
Before John ended up in the interrogation room, he lived an unfulfilling life as a programmer. On October 28, 2020, something snapped in this otherwise ordinary tech bro. In one single heat of that moment, his wife, Utahna Halona Erickson, ended up dead. He was left with self-inflicted wounds on his wrists and neck. Their 2 children, 7-year-old Presley and her 11-year-old brother, ran to a neighbor's house where the following 911 call was placed.
911, what's the emergency?
Hey, this is a transfer from Sandy in Salt Lake.
Hey.
There's a domestic going on. A neighbor child ran to complainant's house, Midvale,
Okay.
and said that his dad is trying to kill his mom.
Okay. You can go ahead and transfer them over.
Okay, all right, thank you.
After that call, officers arrived at John's house to secure a scene they wouldn't forget. Utahna Halona was lifeless on the master bedroom floor. Her body was marked by deep stab wounds to the neck and torso. Blood had pooled across the room. In contrast to her condition, John was sitting on the bed. He was sitting there with wounds that would make for a great story in the interrogation later. The officers secured the scene and took him into custody once he was stabilized. They had no idea this was only the beginning. John was about to test their patience at every turn in this train wreck of an interrogation.
So, the way I typically like to do these things, I like to give you the opportunity to tell me your side of the story. You know, I want to know what was going on the night that you and Utahna were together last. And just tell it to him. Just tell me the story. You know, if you were drinking, tell me about it. You know, how much have you had? How much, you know, things like that. And just fill in the blanks for me and tell me what you know. Can you do that?
Sure.
Okay.
So, I believe it was a Tuesday, right?
I believe so. Maybe it was Wednesday.
I think it was a Wednesday.
Wednesday. Yeah, it was Wednesday.
Right? Yes, I had been drinking. I can't tell you the specific amount. I had been having some troubles at work.
Now, what do you do for work?
I'm a programmer.
Okay, computer stuff.
Computer stuff, yes. I've been reasonably unhappy at work for quite some time. And I've sought help multiple times to resolve the issues that I've had at work.
And when you say sought help, is that through work peers or work-related things?
Through long-term professional counseling.
Okay. Okay. So professional stuff.
Checked myself into a 30-day professional counseling facility multiple times.
Okay.
So those were the kinds of things going on Wednesday.
Yes, and I had finally just had enough and decided that I didn't want to deal with it anymore. And also on multiple occasions I've had guns and other implementations taken away from me to stop me from hurting myself and I had decided I was just done. I was gonna slit my wrists, and Utahna walked in on me mid-suicide. Was none too happy to see what I was doing. Attempted to stop me. We kind of struggled over it. She tried to take the knife from me, and unfortunately she got the worst of it. And after that happened, while that was happening, she was calling out to the kids, telling them, get away, go call 911, which they fortunately did. And then afterwards, then I went ahead and finished doing this to myself.
Yeah. Okay.
It was,
Go ahead.
that was the sum of it.
Okay.
John has given it away from the get-go in the interrogation room. He positions himself as a victim of society. To him, he was not a criminal, but a man pushed to his breaking point. A man who believed the system had cornered him so horribly that death seemed like the only way out. But whose life was actually taken? His wife's. That contradiction alone is deeply unsettling, and John's accidental theory would be put to the test soon. At this moment, the detectives are searching for answers. The room is quiet, the questions routine. But as he begins to speak, a disturbing worldview emerges, turning an ordinary interrogation into a glimpse of something far more sinister.
My understanding is that, I mean, you've said it yourself as well, you've had a history with alcohol. Your tolerance level is probably fairly high, I would imagine. Sounds like it's been a struggle for you for many years. You know, I'm sorry that that's been a vice of yours. It's a hard thing to conquer, and you know, and it can lead to terrible things. You know, for yourself, for your family, things like that. Do you recall? Well, let me back up. When you say things deteriorated, what do you mean by that? Can you shed some light for me on that?
We were fighting. The knife went into her throat. I tried to slice myself again. She kept trying to fight me. The knife went down her arm. At that point, I realized she wasn't going to make it. She sort of laid down on the ground. At that point, I laid down on the bed, and then I tried to open up the rest of my veins.
Okay. All right.
At the point, I remember two. I don't remember all the stab wounds on myself. I remember two on her. The one in the throat from the accident, and the one from her putting her arm up to try to defend herself.
Okay. Can you describe this knife for me?
It's a fishing knife. It's about that long, maybe an 8-inch long fishing knife.
Is that 8 inches in total, or is that the blade length?
Total.
Total. Okay.
Maybe like a 4-inch blade length, something like that.
Okay. All right. Is it a folding knife? Is it
Straight blade knife.
a fixed blade, straight blade style? Okay. Where do you normally keep that knife at?
In the house, in a fishing bag that I have.
Okay. Do you carry that with you?
No, I don't carry it with me. I have a large amount of fishing supplies downstairs. I have a desk downstairs.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fishing desk with a large amount of fishing supplies in it. It's usually kept in there.
Is that the third level down?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I know that's the knife I use for fishing, so I know that it's very sharp
Mm-hmm.
and that it would do what I wanted it to do.
It'll do the job. Well,
Not a kitchen knife or something like that.
sure.
Right.
Okay. So it's relatively sharp then. It sounds like you avid fisher.
So I had brought that from downstairs to upstairs with myself. Yeah.
Okay. Is there a particular reason why you went into the master bedroom itself, or why you wouldn't have stayed
Because
downstairs?
I've been trapped I've been trapped down in the basement for months and months now for work.
Working from home.
Working from home. It's depressing down there. I wanted to go up and be in more of a sunlit area.
Something more comfortable.
More comfortable for me.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, I appreciate you telling me your version of that. Is there anything else you want to touch on or explain?
No, there's none.
Okay.
John was increasingly worn down by the monotony of a work-from-home lifestyle. He felt trapped in the same routine day after day, slowly slipping into an alternate reality where he saw himself as the victim. It would make sense if he were a loner, but that was not the case with John. From the outside, he appeared to be living a happy family life, with his wife and 2 children, both of whom adored their mother. A father is meant to protect his children, but John's rage knew no bounds. His 7-year-old daughter, Presley, ended up witnessing the horror that unfolded before her mother. Now, John is about to recount what she tried to do in the most twisted way possible.
I'm just yelling, "Why are you hurting Mommy?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Did she try to stop you?
Other than yelling, no.
Okay. Did anybody try to stop you
Other than Donna, no.
other than Utahna? Okay. So Utahna had several injuries on her, 2 of which you've explained, the throat cut and the arm. Do you recall any other times where she would have been injured other than those 2?
No.
Okay. All right. So explain a little bit more in detail about the knife going into her throat. Was that accidental? I thought you said that it may have been, but I didn't quite pick up on it. Do you know if that was an accident, or is it more of just a struggle, or was that something that you intentionally did?
It's just an accident in the struggle.
Yeah. Okay. So can you kind of describe how that was occurring to me? I realize that you have the knife, and she's probably standing in front of you, but can you give me a little bit more detail as to how that knife ended up where it ended up?
I can't.
Okay. Was she grabbing onto you?
She was grabbing on me, trying to get the knife, yes.
Okay. And then in that struggle, and I'm just kind of guessing at this point, but in that struggle, I'm guessing it's kind of a tug back and forth type thing?
Tug back and forth, stand up.
Okay. Were you both standing?
I was sitting.
Where were you sitting?
Like I said, I was sitting on the end of the bed.
On the end of the bed.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were still there and she was in front of you?
Yeah.
Okay. Which side of the bed do you sleep on usually?
The right side.
So looking at the bed, it would be the left. If you're looking away from the bed, it would be on the right. Farthest from the
Sitting is-
bedroom door?
My right here.
Okay, so your side of the bed is farthest from the master bedroom doorway. Is that right? Okay, towards the windows. Okay. Okay. So then you said she kind of goes down, and you knew she was done. How did you know?
I felt air go out of her.
You felt the air go out of her? Okay, so you must have been relatively close to her at that point. Is that right?
I was.
Okay, where?
I felt that. I didn't feel the air go out of her. I heard the sigh go out of her.
And nothing
Like it just
come back in?
Yes.
Okay,
She had stopped moving.
okay. And where was she at?
She was on the floor next to the bed,
Which side?
on her side of the bed.
Her side? Okay. Was she face down? Was she face up? Was she on her side?
Face down.
Okay. Did you have any thoughts at that moment?
Of course, I had thoughts at that moment.
What were they?
They were, what have I done?
No matter how mentally troubled a man is, he still draws a line at hurting his own children. But John lacked even that basic instinct. Any trace of empathy seemed absent. What his children witnessed was simply detachment wearing a mask of violence. John was on top of Utahna, stabbing her repeatedly as she pleaded for her life. His 11-year-old son tried to pull him off, but couldn't overpower him. The 7-year-old daughter, Presley, ran into the room, grabbed the knife, and tried to pry it from his hand. She ended up cutting her own hands in the process. What kind of father can witness such horror and still play victim in the interrogation room? John's so-called accidental theory hardly holds water. This was not some sudden, out-of-the-blue act. Utahna's mother, Shirley Silverman, had witnessed something horrifying long before that night. She would now tell how it had already felt too late, even before that evening.
2 weeks before, we had a big thing with John where he was threatening everybody. He threatened his dad that he was going to kill him, and he threatened the kids. Utahna called me, and I drove as fast as I could up to their house. I live in Orem, and she said, "Mom, you need to come help me. Come get the kids." And so I drove up there, got there, and got the kids, and grabbed some of their stuff, and I said, "You need to come with me." I said, I don't want you staying here." She says, "Well, I need to, see, he's talking crazy, and I said, "I know, but, and so we drove up to his folks' house, and his dad, was really upset, and he said, "Well, somebody needs to stay with him so he doesn't do something to himself." And 2 weeks before that, so 5 weeks ago, Tana called me, and she was worried. And she says, because she has a handgun that she got away, from our family years and years ago, and he has his own guns. And she says, "I'm worried about having these guns here." And I said, "Well, your father-in-law has a gun safe. Why don't you take it all up there? Take the shells, take all of it, and go up there." And so she did. She took them all up there, and so his dad has them now, and he told me yesterday, he says, when you're ready to take the other gun that belongs to Tana, just let me know.
Excuse me.
But we want to keep that in the family. And so I know she was, concerned about that, and so his dad said, "Well, I'll go down and sit with him," and we were like, "Oh gosh," and so so Tana said, "Well, I'll come down with you," and I was like, "Oh my gosh," and I told her, I said, "You could go down there, but you need to leave. I don't want you staying there," So I took the kids, and we went up to Park City and just got a motel where the kids could play and maybe swim a little, and and I just was so panicked, about being up there, and she was down here, and I called her and got a hold of her, and I said, "The kids really need you here." I said, "You need to be here." And she says, "Well, I'm afraid to leave him. He's, arguing with his dad and telling him stuff." And I said, "Well, you both need to leave. Just, leave him." And anyway, she finally left, and she came up, She stayed a couple of days with us. But during that time, he was calling, And I know she said that they were talking about divorce. I said, if he's drinking and he's drunk, I says, he's not going to remember this conversation, or things he says is not going to be, and so I said, just wait. And I told her, I said, "Are you sure you don't want to, leave there?" She says, "Oh, we'll be okay. He's going to be, he said he would, really, really work hard to do better, and he doesn't want a divorce." And I said, "Oh, I think back on that conversation, and I wish I would have done more."
John was spiraling into violence with each passing day, and no one stopped him. Shirley failed her daughter by not locking this monster away when there was still time. that failure feels unbearable now because Utahna is gone beyond saving. What remains is a story full of cracks. The accident John has been hiding behind is finally about to be put under real scrutiny. This time, there's nowhere left to hide. The detectives are armed with truths he isn't prepared to confront.
You said earlier on, after it kind of went in her neck, and she said, "What have you done?" You were slashing. Tell me what you were thinking at that point. Why were you slashing?
I don't remember.
Okay. So is it fair to say you're coming at her slashing and she has to defend herself?
I don't remember.
Okay. So we've got that cut. We've got the one cut you're talking about. But there's some more injuries to her that we have. So we need to like fit where those happened in somewhere. Because you were there and we were not, right? So was this like, and at this point you have all these emotions of failure, of not being good enough, that you might as well be dead, is from what you're saying. And now you realize that you've cut your wife, she's probably not going to make it. That's a lot of emotions for one human being to sustain. So would it be fair to say that you were just like enraged and just slashing and whatever, and that's why you can't remember all those things?
I can't answer that.
Okay. And that's what I'm trying to understand. I do not want to put words in your mouth, but I want to understand.
You said that you're struggling over this knife. Well, to me, that doesn't sound like a struggle. That sounds like you've got a knife in your hand, and your wife is dying in front of you and your children, and she's reaching up for her kids, and you're slashing her. That's what that sounds like to me. That sounds like there's no struggle over a knife. That sounds like you have full control of a knife, and you're taking it out on your wife. Help me understand this.
That's not what happened. That's not what I was doing.
Okay, and I don't know, like we've discussed, we weren't there, so we don't know. So that's why I'm saying, help me understand how what you've just explained to me is you struggling over a knife with your wife.
I can't. I don't know.
Okay.
Was there ever a time, John, that this became, I mean, she's interfering with what you're trying to do, right? And obviously, like you said, the knife ends up in her throat, so you're saying that was an accident, is that right? Okay. So the slash on her arm isn't an accident because you were slashing at someone with a knife. Is that right? Do I have that wrong?
It's more of a panicked reaction.
Okay. So it sounds like your panicked reaction where you're slashing and all this stuff is going on, I don't know for how many minutes, but not just one slash, get away from me. Now you guys end up on the ground, and like you said, she's kind of doing this, and there's still slashing happening. So at one point in your brain, where does this like change? What are you thinking? Like, help us understand what is going through your mind at that time.
I can't answer that.
Why not?
John was confident in his accident theories so far, but the slashing incident caught him off guard. It was now crystal clear that this was no accident. Here's what John did to Utahna. He attacked her in the master bedroom and pinned her to the floor next to the bed. After that, he repeatedly stabbed her in the neck and torso with a hunting-style knife. She suffered a partially severed throat, multiple deep lacerations across her neck, and stab wounds to her chest and abdomen. She also had defensive wounds on her hands and arms, showing she tried desperately to shield herself and fight him off. So where is the accident in all of this? It doesn't exist. John's initial theory falls apart here. With that gone, he will now begin to reveal his psychotic tendencies. This so-called victim of the system will now come out with full force.
Where is that rage coming from? What happened? I don't understand why this is all directed towards her. That makes sense, John.
And I'll be honest with you, if I was in your position, I don't know what I would do. I don't.
I just snapped.
You have no safe haven. Home's not peaceful. Work's not peaceful. The environment's not peaceful. This crummy political going on is not peaceful. So you are in chaos 24/7 on the inside.
I get picked, and I have to hold it all up. And no matter how much I hold it up, everybody tells me I'm wrong, and you're not doing good enough.
And you know what?
I just finished, I read constantly. I just finished reading the book Atlas Shrugged, where the people who do that, have you read that book?
No, what is it
No,
called?
Atlas Shrugged, where the people who do all of the work hold everything up, and one day they decide, I'm just going to stop. And so about a month ago, I just stopped. I just pick. And I just lost it.
Couldn't take it anymore.
I just couldn't take it anymore.
I don't blame you.
And one of the sweetest people around ended up taking the brunt of it.
Like I just told you, it sounds like you have no place for peace. It's just chaos all the time. And you're trying to hold it up the best you can, but it's never good enough to anybody. Like even the little stupid like, no, I can't drive someone for 5 minutes. I have to do. By the way, I make all the money here. I just got, like you said, like that bonus or raise or whatever. What the else do you want from me? And then, at the very end, when you're like, this I'm out, someone tries to stop you, do that.
This I'm out. It's like, I'm tired. Well, now we gotta go to a little kid Halloween party. Well, I don't want to go to a little kid Halloween party.
Mm-hmm.
You know, let's stop picking at me.
Yeah, I get it.
Okay, so she wants you to go to a stupid party.
Oh no, party's irrelevant. That was a superficial statement.
Right. It's just one little thing. I get it, but continue.
You know, it's always that one thing that's you got to go to the little kid Halloween party, or your mom or your parents' house, or your whatever, or you got to you got a soccer practice, or you got to whatever.
Can I
So
just
it's the
have?
little thing that gets you.
Can I just have 1 minute to myself?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now I'm not going to have any minutes to myself because I'm going to be in a jail cell.
So you finally decide, like I said, like this I'm out, and you try to do that when they're away, but then someone has to come in and stop you.
Just like, I'd rather be dead than deal with this.
This is John without the mask now, and what's underneath is disturbingly empty. He snapped. He snapped over reasons so weak that he had to hide behind a borrowed philosophy to make them sound real. Dragging Atlas Shrugged into this is simply dishonest. The novel revolves around objectivism. It glorifies creators and thinkers who refuse to be exploited by society. Nowhere does it advocate violence, let alone murder, as a solution to personal dissatisfaction or emotional collapse. If anything, its characters withdraw. They are not destroyers. In his mind, though, it all fits. He casts himself as someone who understood something deeper. In reality, he is just dressing up brutality as philosophy. His mask has finally slipped, and detectives are closing in on the monster behind it.
But you said goes into a rage.
Snapped.
It just snapped. It was just, I have had it with this and the wrong person paid.
So your statement to us is that during this argument, you know, we've established the one in the throat, and there's this moment of slashing. You know, now we've established there was probably some rage. There was some rage behind that slashing, you know, and that and some of those other moments of insanity, if you will, or moments of rage, if we will. So this is what ended up happening to Tana. So that one on the right below her chin and to the right, just a hair, with that downward angle a little bit, that's her left side. And based on your statement to us earlier, I'm just going to surmise that that's probably the one that went into her throat. This one here. See that downward angle right there? That one there? correct me if I'm wrong, but that's, as far as my understanding is, and based off of what you've told us today, that's where I assume that first knife cut went into.
That would be probably the point where they had the knife like this and they kind of went.
Okay.
Whether you're sitting on
Okay.
there up like this or up like this
Sure.
or whatever the case
Sure.
may be.
Okay. So then my question is how did the one on the right side happen?
No idea. No idea.
Okay. Well, I had the unfortunate opportunity to go to her autopsy. And the injury on the left side of her neck that you have said that you recall is from the struggle was not the fatal shot. The fatal shot was this one right here. That injury right there was deeper, was wider, and it severed completely her carotid artery. Now that injury right there, that doesn't happen from slashing. I'll show you this one. This one here is just kind of a close-up of that left side. During the autopsy, the doctors determined that the blade actually punctured completely through her trachea, her airway. So if that right side carotid was not cut, she would have drowned in her own blood because she was aspirating and breathing in her blood. So there was lots of blood in her lungs. So this is the crux of what I'm trying to find out how it happened. You know, can you tell me how to put this puzzle together?
No, I can't.
Okay. And I can respect that. Absolutely can. I'm sorry you had a nitpicky wife that put lots of stressors on you, including your career, including your parents, including your neighbors, your friends, on top of the alcohol use. I can only imagine that the stress that you're under, making all of this money and not being appreciated, it's a hard thing.
I know that sounds terrible.
Well, I think you and I and Detective Holtz are in agreement that the wrong persons suffered the consequences of these things. She didn't deserve it. Kids didn't deserve it.
Utahna didn't deserve this. The children didn't deserve this. Honestly, John didn't deserve to live among civilians. He had sought mental help in the past, but someone should have stepped in and truly helped him before it went this far. He didn't get the support he needed, he snapped, and he left a family shattered forever. In a final act of empathy, the female detective sits with John to understand how remorseful he is and whether there is more to his motive.
We're already here.
We're already here. Just put her out of her misery.
And what did you do?
Just cut her throat.
Okay. So, thank you for telling me that, John. I know that's been right here the whole time, and probably right here. They're connected, your stomach and your heart. You've been feeling it for a few days, I imagine.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So that, like you said, if you already think she's not going to make it, let's just end all of this. And you thought you would end yourself, so I know that was part of the plan, right? And then so she's laying on the floor, and you do another cut just to put her out of her misery. And so, since I know those are some hard pictures to look at, but my partner showed you that. So the one you originally talked about on her left side is still true, right?
I guess.
Yeah.
So you tell me which one that was. She would have been laying on her
I
face
guess this is the first one.
first. Okay. And then she's laying down and you're like, she's suffering.
I think maybe this is two cuts here. Yeah. She's laying down. Same
Okay.
cut of there. Yeah.
So she's laying down,
Yeah.
and when you say this is 2 cuts, help me understand that.
Well, this is one of the first ones I got her, so she's laying down. I said, she's already cut there. I'll just cut her again in the same spot.
Okay. So you're right-handed, right?
Yeah.
So you have the knife in your right hand, and she's face down.
Yeah.
Tell me exactly how you did that.
It's this thing. I can't explain exactly how it happened.
So let's just say this is her head. She's laying down.
Just there. It was a straight blade knife. You could just go in, just cut.
Okay. And what did you do right after that? You put her out of her misery, then what?
There's nothing. I got up, I went and I laid on the bed, I took a big drink of whiskey, and I did this. Finished myself.
So you guys can both float off together.
Yeah.
See, John, that makes a lot more sense to me. Thank you for getting that off your chest, okay?
Yeah.
It's hard. It's a hard thing to talk about, John.
You saw a struggle. She didn't see me do this to her neck.
So I just want to make sure I have this right. So everything we were talking about earlier was kind of a rageful, violent slashing, just everything going on. And then you realize what you did already. So you're going to put her out of her misery and just let her die.
It only lasted a minute,
Right. They seem like forever, but they're only like a minute.
30 seconds, a minute. That's all that it lasted.
Okay.
And then saw what was happening, tried to stop us, and then ran back out. Then she probably only saw a couple seconds of it.
Okay. And that's going to help me help her counselors and things and stuff like that understand what level of trauma she's at. And you're exactly time with it because he's not as vocal as she is.
Mm-hmm.
So part of my job is I'm going to be making sure they get all the help they need. So you being open and honest with us today and helping us understand what happened and what they saw is going to help me understand what they've been through.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. John, that was a lot to get off your chest. So that kind of came out towards the end. Is there anything else that you left out when we were talking to you? Anything else that's unexplained?
I don't think so.
John committed an unspeakable monstrosity against Utahna, but the damage within him was already beyond repair. If Utahna's mother Shirley sensed the danger 2 weeks ago, she needed to act sooner. The Erickson family is destroyed forever, and nothing can truly mend it. But justice for Utahna still matters, and John must face it. John Weston Erickson was convicted of first-degree murder for his vile acts. He was also found guilty of child torture and domestic violence in the presence of a child. He pleaded guilty in August 2023 and was sentenced to 5 years to life in Utah State Prison. Prosecutors emphasized that he showed no remorse and therefore sought a sentence that would keep him away from his innocent children.